So it's always fun to drive my silver '04 GT to work and park next to my brother's '01 GT, both with bullet wheels, very similar cars. And speaking of my brother, we came across this, and this was a picture of the actual driver's ed book that my brother and I had in high school, and it features a 94, 95 canary yellow Mustang GT on the cover. And that was actually kind of cool because even the Auto Shop book had a 94, 95 GT breakaway picture in it. So it's kind of cool that, well, we were in high school, those cars were still new enough that they were featured on books and stuff. So as we saw this picture, we thought it was kind of cool. And speaking of yellow GTs, I decided to take mine. We needed to go to the church for a meeting, and so I went with my family, and we drove over here, and I dropped them off for something that they had to be to inside, and I just hung out outside and just enjoyed sitting on the grass in the shade. I brought something to eat and a cold drink and just hung out, and as the sun was setting, it was just fun to be around the GT and just see it there in that nice open parking lot. I really enjoyed doing that and just being able to be around the car and walk around it and just hang out and enjoy it. So that was something I did with this. And, you know, yellow GT has always been one of my favorite cars. As a matter of fact, I was looking through an old journal that I had, and there was an entry in there in the back, and I think it was somewhere probably around 2007 or so when I got married to my wife, and we were just kind of hanging out, and I wrote in the back of this journal, I'll get it out here actually. So we come to the back, and I had written a list of the Mustangs that I would like to have. These are all Mustangs. And now at this time, I might have already had my blue Mach 1, so it doesn't appear on this list. These are just other Mustangs I would be interested in. But if you look at the very top, it's 2002 yellow GT Mustang, black leather and bullet wheels with a 5-speed. And that is exactly the car I have right now. And as we continue to go down the list, you can see 2004 Cobra, and I have red with a note there, flat red, which would be torch red. So back then I didn't even have the colors memorized like I do today. And black leather, okay, well, black interior, and didn't know probably that the black suede was the only option, or the charcoal suede, or the graphite suede, or whatever, with chrome wheels. And so, although it's not exactly an '04, I do have an '03 Cobra that's a 10th anniversary, and I do have an '04 Cobra that's competition orange. And that was a decision that I made later. So as we continue to go down the list, the next car on the list is something that I got in two different ways by getting both of my Cobras. We can see that there's an '03 flat red or torch red Mustang GT, black leather, bullet wheels, 5-speed. And although I haven't had a torch red GT, I've had, you know, a torch red Mach 1 as well, torch red Cobra, and I've had several GTs, silver, blue, you know, yellow, and stuff like that. So then keep going down, 98 yellow GT. And I'm sure the reason I like that is because of the famous Granny GT that I've had on the channel. I always thought that was a cool car. And this isn't in any particular order. The next one said '03 Torch Red Mach 1. And I did have the '04 Torch Red Mach 1. And I really loved this car. I love the bright red, love the Mach 1. And my twin brother has one of these as well. So no harm that I don't have this one anymore because I can enjoy his. But, you know, there's a silver 98 GT, but then also it has a '01 silver GT, which '01 to '04, basically the same looking car. And I've had an '01 silver GT as well as an '03 silver, and now this '04 silver. And so the list goes on and says an '01 green Bullitt Mustang. I didn't get green, but I do have a true blue one. And then it also said a laser red Mustang GT with bullet wheels. And that wasn't supposed to be in any specific order. I was just jotting down the Mustangs that I really liked. And, you know, it never really occurred to me that I would have all the Mustangs I do today. And they're all ones that I've handpicked around the Western United States that are the nicest ones I can find and the ones I love. Now, in the case of the GTs, both of the GTs I have now were project cars, and so they're not perfect. But anyway, it's kind of fun to look through that journal and see all that and realize, especially the yellow GT that I'm driving today is exactly the first one on the list of one of the Mustangs that I wanted to own. And so over the years, of course, I would change things on that list, and now that list would be a little different than it was back then. But it's kind of fun to look into the past before I had all the 20-something Mustangs I've had over the years and see which ones on the list were the ones that I, at the time, made an impression on me that I really liked. So anyway, I got home and I had this battery cover I got out of the wrecking yard that was on a V6 Mustang, and I decided to go ahead and clean it up. And so I came out here and just lightly sprayed it with some clean water and tried to just break it up, the grime and stuff on it. And it looks pretty nice. So I'm still deciding which one of my Mustangs I want to put this on, but it's kind of cool to see. It was fun. I saw that in the junkyard. I thought, I can't leave that behind. It's going to get crushed with the car. So I drove the silver GT to the store, ran some errands with it, and then it needed a wash. And both of these GTs needed a wash since they're outside a lot and they get in the elements a lot. And I daily drive the silver one, and my wife drives it a lot too. So it was nice to just clean them up a little bit. And then now this is actually the next morning, same view, nice and shady, but it was time to go to a car show. And so I was going to take my Bullitt up to this car show and meet up with my friend Zach, who has a really nice 35th anniversary GT. And so we cruised together to go up to this car show, and we had a great time together. And it was really fun. They made a nice breakfast for everyone at the fire station. I have a whole video about this on my channel, and so this is just kind of cruising a little bit up to that show. My friend Zach with the 35th anniversary GT actually has a YouTube channel called Zach's GT Garage, and he even made a video about this day as well. So if you want to go over and subscribe and watch his videos, that would be cool. So that was a nice morning. It's my friend's newer Coyote Gen 3. The Bullitt, the GT, all of our cars lined up on this nice morning. And so it was just really fun to get together, and it's always good to have friends to enjoy hanging out and doing car stuff with. And so up this way, there are a bunch of little towns, and in one of those towns was where I bought my Sonic Blue parts car Mustang GT. And if you've watched the whole story about that, you'll know that that car was wrecked in the front and back so bad that it couldn't be repaired. But I bought it for the wire harness and a bunch of things and just parts. And the guy who had bought it originally took the drivetrain out and put it in a yellow V6 Mustang. And I came across this yellow V6 Mustang, and so I believe it's an '02, and it has the V8 and everything swapped into it, but it's still the V6 body and everything. And so I've been seeing this around town lately, and I know which car it is, and I know exactly the story behind it. So that's kind of cool to see that. And so I took the silver GT to a park where my wife and kids had a event going on, and so I just kind of hung out and went for a walk. And I actually walked past all those apartment buildings to go buy a candy bar. And when you walk around, you really appreciate having a car, and you realize how nice it is to have something that takes you somewhere. And I like to do that sometimes just to humble myself and remember how nice it is to have a car. So here's a little tree made out of exhaust pipes and license plates. This is at that park. It's actually kind of funny because you think kids climb trees. So is this a good idea for kids to be around all these sharp pieces? But no, it's mostly I'm just joking. There's such a huge playground here that I don't think the kids would come over this way, but it is a very interesting look here. And so there's the GT just hanging out. I saw this Firebird on my walk, so I just decided to record a little bit. LT1, my friends have had these over the years. They're cool cars. I still like all muscle cars, and so kind of cool just to see this, and it's worth walking over and looking at on my walk. So I got back to the park after that and just love seeing the GT every time I walk up to it. It's just such a cool looking car, and I really enjoy it. And so while I was at the park, I decided to have a little fun myself. Yeah, it actually went a lot faster at the end. That's just polished concrete. I almost biffed it. Anyway, went over to my son's school with the Blue Mach 1, put some money on his lunch account. You probably see me do that if you watch the channel a lot. Usually in the Silver GT and when I'm coming home from work, and I do that. But had the Blue Mach 1 today and went and did that, and it was just a beautiful day to be out with the Blue Mach 1. Just love the color, love the brightness of this car. As you can see, there's always variety. It's fun to switch it up. Love driving by the new temple. My wife and I go there often. Holiness to the Lord, the house of the Lord. It's such a beautiful thing to have in our community. And I love this road that goes to my house, and every time I'm driving either to town or if I'm driving away from this, I can see it in my rearview mirror. I just love that mountain range and this nice straight road, and so I just had to pull over and try to capture some of that on video. Just love being out here in the Mach 1. It's so nice here, and I just love driving, and this is all kind of a newer area, so the roads are pretty smooth here, and they're even redoing some of the road to make it wider and nicer. So here's another day and another time to take out the Blue Mach 1. So I just went to the store and got a couple things, and this is the store I always used to go to growing up as a kid, especially when I got my license. This was new here, so it's always fun. Big boy. So here's my wife taking the Silver GT somewhere, and that car is automatic, so she likes to drive it the most. And so I went out and hung out in the garage. My cousin with the red Mach 1 was coming over, and he actually moved out of town back up to northern Utah where he grew up, and he had a job opportunity up there, and so we're going to see his red Mach 1 that you've seen on the channel a lot lately here as he comes up, and I have something else to show you about that. That's cool. So I'll see him again sometime, but not as often as I usually do because he'll be up in northern Utah now. But my friends up north had actually sent me this picture. This is from my friend Koa, who had the 03 Redfire Mustang GT that used to belong to me and then used to belong to my sister that's been on the channel. And he has that white Mach 1 now in the background. And he sent me this picture when they were on a cruise up in a canyon in northern Utah, and a guy walked up to them and said, "Hey, I used to have a red Mach 1. And he showed him the picture, and he said that he had sold it to somebody who moved down here where I live, and the year matched up and the mileage matched up and everything, and that is my cousin's Mach 1, the red Mach 1 that we just saw in the video. And so it's kind of cool that their paths crossed, especially since Koa has that new white Mach 1, and so that probably gave the guy the idea to go over and talk to him. And that guy took such good care of that red Mach 1 that my cousin has now. It had about 140,000 miles on it when my cousin bought it, and it was in fantastic shape. So that was kind of cool that he came up to them and talked to him, and it turns out he's the owner of my cousin's red Mach 1, the previous owner. So I had a coupon to go get a free donut, and so I took the GT, and yes, I parked absolutely terribly, but there was nobody there, and I was just in and out real quick and stuff, so fun to take the GT just all the time. Jump in, go anywhere. Car is reliable, fun, and enjoyable to drive. So time to wash the car again. I like to pull it onto the grass just so that I can get some water on the grass too. My friend always did that in high school. And, I don't know if it really helps, but I'm sure it's better than it just going on the sidewalk. But cleaned it all up, shined the tires up, got it all looking really good. A lot of times I don't put anything on the tires, but did that just in time for my wife to take it somewhere, and she drove off. And it's always fun to watch the car. I always enjoy seeing it go off and stuff. So just hanging out at the house, decided that I wanted to take my red Cobra for a drive. And, a lot of times I forfeit driving the car because of the family, the children, their schedules, their friends come over, so I'm kind of stuck here sometimes when I really want to go for a drive and, things change on me, and that's okay. And I'm totally cool with that. Being a family man, I love my family, but I don't drive the cars as much as I used to, or as much as other people think I do, because I do have to have my responsibilities as a family father and stuff. But I went to all the trouble to take the cover off and everything, and then the plans changed, and so I didn't get to drive the Cobra, but I'll drive it here in just a minute. You'll see, which is a different day, but always beautiful to see this car. And that car cover does such a nice job keeping the dust off the car, so I don't wash it as much, don't swirl it as much and everything. And so I really enjoy that ability to just take the cover off, have a clean car and stuff. So the GT's looking good in the driveway. Just love walking around and seeing it after I've cleaned it. I just kind of wanted to have a video of it after it was cleaned. And then I like to hang out in the driveway with the garage door open, where I can just hang out with the cars, listen to music, and eat ice cream and stuff. So this is just kind of what I like to do. It's my pastime. It's my chill time. And so, I'm always answering questions on YouTube or Instagram, and I sit down and pull out the phone, and I'm doing that all day long. And so it's fun to just hang out with the cars, be on my phone, relax, and just enjoy. This is like a man cave. I went to the store. I had to get some treats. Then the next evening, when it was nice again, it was time to take out the red Cobra. So a little gusty, but still a nice night to get the car out, no rain or anything. And sometimes I'm okay to just let the cars sit. I don't have to drive them to enjoy them, but then other times I just get the itch and I really want to take the car out and drive it. So the next day I took the silver GT and I was driving over to my friend's house so that we could go check up on his GT350 that was in the body shop, and we were going to take his Terminator convertible for a drive. So this is a beautiful part of town. I always enjoy coming through here. So here's the GT at his house. It always looks so good out there. I love the look of silver with the Bullitt wheels. So we'll get in the Cobra and put the top down. So it was a very nice morning, and we went and had breakfast, and then we headed over to the body shop to see the car. So yeah, there's the new cooler. So I took the yellow GT and went to the store. Really enjoy seeing it parked out here. This parking lot's always so nice to walk out to and have the mountain range in the background, and the GT always looks so good, bright yellow stripes on the parking lot. So it's always something that I'm wondering if it comes out as good on camera as it is in real life. These ruts in the road are so deep. It's sunk down where all these cars have driven in this particular spot. I'm always scared to drive my cars here, especially the low ones. So I'm pretty sure the previous owner of this car tried to make a left-hand turn right here. They turned in front of somebody and got smashed up in this intersection. That's where the car got hit. Every time I drive through that intersection, you can only imagine what I'm thinking about, and that's where this car was totaled by the previous owner. I was really sad to see it that night, and this is the condition the car was when I got it. Totally parted out, totally twisted, totally wrecked. It didn't even have a trunk. I had an extra white trunk and spoiler on it just to keep it sealed from the elements, that I borrowed from my brother. And so this was how the car was. All the wire harnesses were cut, interior was gone, it was just parts trashed and thrown inside. And I wasn't even going to repair this car until I found the ability to get the front clip like we have here. This is the whole front of another Mustang, and underneath all the panels is the actual front whole part of a Mustang that was on a Mach 1 in a junkyard. And so I was able to put that all back together, and now this is what we have, a beautiful running nice car. And I'm very happy to drive it around, and I have a lot of fun with it, and I'm very proud of the work I put into it. So every time I see it, I look over and I'm just so proud of it in this parking lot of bland cars, and then you see a bright yellow Mustang GT with Bullitt wheels, as you saw in my journal, one of my favorite cars, one of the cars that was on my bucket list. I was just out driving around with my sons and enjoying the day. We went to a couple places and back here to the pink parking lot with the donuts. Nice Challenger over there, 6-cylinder, I believe. And back to the donut shop, somewhere to just get a little bit of a treat and enjoy. But anyway, fun to just think, you know what, I want to go get a treat. We're going to take the Mustang out and we're going to enjoy it. And then every time you walk out to the car, it looks so good. I'm very proud of it. And so I went to this park that's nearby because my son was at a birthday party in the houses back behind the trees there. And we were a little early, so I was with my other boys and we just hung out here and waited for the party to end, and then we'd just run over and pick him up. So while I was there, got out, recorded the car, showed the little area here. It's a very pretty place, this nice little park. I passed this on the way to work a lot, and so very nice place to enjoy the car in the nice daylight. It was getting a little warm, but it's just fun to park it and then walk around and see it as if you're coming up to the car for the first time and just kind of get your impressions of what the car's like. There are these ginormous soccer balls here. A lot of people come here to play soccer, so thought it'd be a good photo opportunity. So come out here and record the car with it and just show that a little bit. It was kind of cool. Like I said, I was just between things and kind of driving around and just kind of waiting for my son to be ready. And so we went and picked him up, and then we went for a drive out to visit my brother who just had a baby, my younger brother. So after we visited, we were in his neighborhood, and we don't go there very often. And there's a new park here, so I thought, well, let's get out and just enjoy looking the car over a little bit. Kids can play at the park. The belt was squeaking just a little bit, so I had some water. And there's a little trick where if you just pour a little bit of water on the belt and the squeaking goes away, then you know it's the belt, not the pulleys. So that's kind of cool just for my kids to have that memory of hanging out with dad and dad tinkering with his Mustang at the park and just being who I am. I really enjoy that, and that's something I'm proud of. Car looked so good. Every angle I was at, I'm like, man, that car just looks good. I got on the swings, can enjoy the view of the car while I'm here. It's like, oh, cool, there's my GT. It matches the playground, I guess. But anyway, just tried to get the photos to come out like it looks so good in person, and then sometimes you try to capture that angle and look with the camera. But so I just kind of played around and took some pictures and video of the car and just enjoyed seeing it here. And sometimes you want sunlight, sometimes you want shade. Swirl marks and stuff can be kind of harsh on the sunlight and stuff. But there's this little park here, and as I continued to walk up the trail, I thought it was kind of cool. And this neighborhood is out kind of by the airport here in town, and there's a highway that brings you out here, and that's where we used to go hang out at night with our cars, and we'd do some racing on this little back road. So if you look, there's the highway as it continues underneath that overpass, and then there's another overpass that doesn't go to anything, and that's where we used to meet up. So now the shade's here, just like I was saying. Does it look better in the shade? I guess it probably does. There's always a different look to it, and I enjoy when the shade comes around here. Being out in the desert, it gets up to 110 or more sometimes. You know, the other day was just 107. So as I was hanging out in the neighborhood and stuff, I saw this Scat Pack Challenger. Pretty cool car. It's a nice car in the neighborhood. And look over, there's my GT looking good with the Bullitt wheels. I love that look. So we'll do a little warm start here. This is the spot where we like to meet up. Beautiful, nice, new, long straightaway. And I've been out here a lot with my cars. I'll show you some footage of me out here with the cars in the past. Man, the supercharger screams so loud. So my neighbors were moving, and I was out there watching my wife drive off in the GT as we were helping them pack up the truck. And then their new house was just a few streets down, and so we took the yellow GT down there just to go help them. And so something cool is, since I've been here, as all these streets were being paved and made, I've made actually a lot of memories here. That street that the trailer's on is the street I first test drove this yellow GT on when I got it back together. And there's also other things I think of when I see that open street there and the memories I've made here. I'll insert the video here of when I was on that street last time. So I took the yellow GT to an appointment at the church that I needed to be to. And then I took the silver GT and I went to the school again to put lunch money on my son's account. You can kind of see the daily driver stuff going on here. And this is my friend Shelby as it was continuing in the body shop getting its repairs. So I took the silver GT there to go check up on the car for him while he was out of town. And, you know, man, all these wrecked cars, and this silver GT was one of them, actually. I had never done body work before in my life, and I bought this GT mostly for the engine, and this is what it looked like. And I love showing people this. A lot of times I pull the album out on my phone and I go through this kind of stuff and show them what I actually went through to put this car back together. You know, somebody at the gas station will say, "Hey, that's a really nice Mustang." And I'll say, "Thanks." And I usually can't help myself, and I'll tell them, you know, it didn't always look this nice. Actually, when I bought it, it was completely wrecked. And they'll say, "Really?" And then I'll show them the pictures and videos, and I'll say, yeah, this was quite a process. And looking back, I'm surprised I actually did it. Both those GTs there are cars here that have been in this video that I've showed you, that I've repaired and put back on the road. And, you know, it's funny because I'm a guy with, you know, big blower Cobras and Bullits with cams and superchargers and, you know, really nice Mach 1s and all these neat cars. But a lot of time I'm showing people the progress on these cars, and it's really fun to share that with people and, you know, show them what these cars went through to get to the way they are today and be very proud of it. Because I've never done anything like this before until, you know, a couple of years ago when I put these cars back together. So I guess I'm just saying that I never expected to show people these cars when I talk to them about my cars as much as I do. You know, I've always showed them my nicer cars and my collector cars and the cars I've built up for performance reasons. But here's, you know, a different element that I haven't experienced until now. So always nice to see the car looking good and remember what I actually did as the miles go on and the time goes on. I start to forget a little bit of how much work I actually put into it, but I've been getting a lot of really good use out of those cars too, so I'm very happy, and I saved them, which is practicing what I preach about taking care of these cars. So time to take the cover off the blue Mach 1 and take it for another drive. It's looking really good. Like I said, these covers are a nice little thing to have in the garage. They're not going to hold up out in the daylight, you know, in the sunlight and the weather and stuff, but in the garage it's a good thing. I'll put the link to where you can buy these on Amazon down below in the description. So I went back to the school to put money on my son's account again because it turns out he didn't tell us, but he got seconds at lunch a few times, so the account needed more money on it. So here we are parked by the movie theater between the buildings. This is a pretty safe place to be. My family was having a lunch celebration for my nephew, and it's the brother of the one with the Rio red 98 Mustang GT that you've seen on the channel recently. And so we all went out to lunch, and I just parked where I felt the car would be safe and a little bit in the shade. And so this nephew of mine had graduated high school, and so we were going to lunch together. And now that I know, there was so few people there that I could have parked right by the building, but it was still fun to see the car. This is how far away I parked, but in the shade, away from everything. But they opened at like 11 o'clock or something like that, and so there weren't very many people there. My wife met us there with the GT, and then there's my nephew's GT that I was just talking about. There's even an S197 there, so we had the lineup SN95, New Edge, and S197. So my wife just gave us a ride back from the restaurant over to the blue Mach 1 where it was parked waiting for us, and so that was a nice place for it. I'm happy to have it there. I actually parked it there when I went to the movies with my boys to go see I think it was the Mario movie. Yeah, it was the Mario movie. We went and saw that here at this movie theater. So there goes the GT. So that's a pretty good his and hers combo, I'd say. Kind of fun to cruise with other Mustangs, even if they're my own. So I took a different way home, and this part of the neighborhood is really nice, and I used to actually come here to this house on the corner with my friend to do mobile detailing, and we washed all their Mercedes and Escalades and trucks and nice things and boats. And I remember taking my red Terminator there one day so I could just look at it while we were working. I just happened to have it that day, and so I always have that memory as I drive through this neighborhood. So back with the blue Mach 1, I wanted to take it out and go have some fun and just go for a drive, but that kind of turns into making some noise, so let's do it. And that 32 valve burble sounds good at idle, but this is a new area with a lot of new paved streets. Nobody's usually here, but there were a lot of people walking in the evening, so we had to abort the mission and go somewhere else more open where nobody was around. And so the next day I went and picked up my son at a birthday party in another part of town. Haven't been here for a while. And then we went out to eat somewhere and, parked over here in this bigger parking lot. So beautiful Mach 1 looking good. Nobody bothered it over here. And here's those big ruts I'm always talking about. Those are so deep. So in the Mach 1 that is pretty low, especially my BBK Cat X pipe. I had to be real careful. Lowered car problems. So we stopped by Costco for ice cream, and again, the ice cream machine was broken. Worse than McDonald's lately. But still, good time to drive the car around a little bit, and I actually found a nail in the road. When we were driving, I stopped in the middle of the road and picked it up. I'll show you that here. It's in the cup holder. And so when I got in the car, I remembered that was there. So, geez. Yeah, this kind of stuff. I see it shining and I just have to stop and be like, what is that, But there's the nice lineup, of bland hoods and then the Mach 1 hood. I always love how aggressive that hood is, how it goes up once like a normal Mustang, then it goes up again, and then it has the shaker where it goes up again. So it's like a mountain range. I love that. So the next day, my wife and I took the Silver GT to the temple, and that was nice. It's kind of like a date night for us, a good time to go be together and enjoy that. And then got home and did what I like to call the air fryer barbecue. Do that with my family. Just always have, stuff, chicken nuggets, fries, anything good like that. Have that nice strip of carpet to sit on and just hang out in the nice evening. Next day, it's time to move the Silver GT out of the driveway so that I can get the red Cobra out. I'm going to go do a bunch of stuff with the red Cobra today. So it's time to take the cover off the red Cobra, and then I'm going to take my boys to another birthday party, and then I'm going to go just out to lunch and hang out with the car and enjoy just being with it around town a little bit today in the nice, nice bright time of the day. So I dropped them off and then walked back out to the car. I just love seeing this car. I mean, all my Mustangs, I just love seeing them. They're just nice to be parked somewhere and walk up to them and just see what they look like. And I went behind the building and hung out for a little bit there and just caught up on, questions on YouTube and, private messages and comments on Instagram and just doing all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of hung out back here in the shade for a little bit while they were there, and then just enjoyed being with the car in this nice area and, the shade a little bit. And like I've said before, a lot of times the cars just sit in the garage a lot and I don't take them places, and I'm content to just be there with them, but it's fun to get out and enjoy the car and have it in a different setting and walk around it and see it in the sunlight or see it in the shade and just enjoy it from afar. And, I just watched a YouTube video about a black 10th anniversary Cobra just like this one, and it had about 100,000 miles on it up in Canada, and underneath it was pretty dirty just because it was used and it was driven in winter and stuff, and it just reminds me of how nice this one is, and I like that black one too. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because it's a car that's been used and enjoyed, but I have videos of me detailing the whole underside of this car, and it is so nice. This has always been a desert California car and now southern Utah car, no snow or anything. And it's just such a nice clean car, so I like being here and seeing it and being able to sit around it and look underneath it and enjoy how clean it is. So I just went over and helped myself to a nice combo meal. I never buy combo meals, but I had like a gift card and stuff, and so I thought I'd try out their new burger and stuff. I just love sitting there with the Cobra. There's a 35th anniversary SS Camaro 02 driving around. Cool to see that. That's the same generation as my Terminator, so that's fun. Yeah, there's a C4 Corvette came parked next to me, and there's a Coyote. Again, I just love seeing that Cobra there with the wheels on it. And right when I was here, I was talking to my friend on the phone with his silver 10th anniversary in Michigan, and he said, hey, take a picture of your car and send it to me, and I'll send one to you. So this is his silver 10th anniversary, basically the same car I have, but a convertible and a silver color. So they only made a handful of these, and they made 2003 total 10th anniversary cars, and it was just kind of cool for him to show me the pictures of his while he's enjoying his at the exact same time I was enjoying mine. You can see his GT350 in the garage there. That's his other one. So this is the guy who has the red GT350 that we went and looked at the body shop. And while he was there, he actually went to a meeting and met up with John Coletti, the one who is in charge of the Terminator Cobra project. So pretty cool to see that picture of him there, and he sent me that too. And so while I was waiting, a Grabber Blue V6 Mustang came up, and so that was kind of cool to see. I just like sitting here and watching the cars go by. My brother and I used to do that in high school. We'd come hang out here and just watch what cars passed around and just kind of get an idea of what cars were in town. So here's the beautiful 10th anniversary Cobra, getting in it to go and go make a stop over at the mall real quick. So I had just enough time to go in and then come back out and be able to go pick up my son from the birthday party. And so this is just leaving the mall, walking out and seeing the Cobra there. I found a good spot to park in where I don't think anyone was going to bug it. And, the people here who park over here are the ones who work at the mall, so I don't think that it would have been a problem anyway. So I got a new AC compressor for the Silver GT. I had redone the air conditioning and all the lines on it because they were severed in the accident, and the pump seems to be leaking somewhere on the compressor or whatever. So we pressure tested it and with my neighbor who does AC work, and so I made this video real quick and just showed how the belt's routed before I took off the belt to do the AC. And he said, yeah, if you can get that new compressor on, we can work on it some more. So I quickly jumped on it and I had this done in very, very short amount of time, and I went right back over to his house, and he's like, man, you're quick. I thought you were going to take it somewhere and get it worked on. And I was like, no, I do this myself, and I don't trust anyone else with it. So he did everything to it, and we got it running, and so far it's been nice with freezing cold air conditioning, especially so my wife can enjoy that around town. So back at the house with all the cars, and just had all the doors open and hanging out, cleaning out like my toolbox and stuff. There's just a lot of organization that always needs to go on, especially when you do a project and you make a mess, and then I need to get reorganized for the next project and whatever. So I can always just hang out in here, have a good time in the garage, turn on music, and enjoy being with my cars. The GT on some errands, and as I was driving I thought I saw a Comp Orange V6, but it was just faded that bad, unless maybe the bumper really was off a Comp Orange car. And then a nice early morning, it's time to take the Mach 1 to work. I'm going to drive it there today and go for a little cruise around the lake right after work. So just decided to come out here and get the cover off and get ready to go. So I stopped and got something to eat on the way, and then I got to work, and I'm the first one there, and I opened up the building and stuff, and so it's kind of fun to be there alone, and there's just nobody around here. There's surveillance cameras everywhere. It's a gated area, so it's pretty safe to have the car here, and I park a little bit over the line. I know people might not like that, but there's still plenty of room on each side, and that just makes sure my doors don't get dinged, and I park here every day. So just beautiful blue Mach 1, nice to be here, and like I said, walk around it in a different setting, get to see the car a little bit, just enjoy being out in the early hours, and just kind of hung out in the parking lot before it was time to go in and get started. So just love seeing the Mach 1 and just looking at the hood stripe. Look at it, how it shines in with the matte black in the parking lot lights. So pretty cool. Really like that. And just love this hood, like I talked about a little bit earlier. Just love seeing that glare on the matte black stripe. So then walked out when the sun was up and ready to take the car on a cruise. If you look out in the distance, you'll see in the mountain ranges there, right before the mountain range, is a lake, and I love going there. It's my favorite place to drive these cars around, and so we're going to go out there, and I'll take a little footage of driving around out there. I had to go to the DMV first, and that's why, because the DMV is close to where I work, so I can stop there and then get that taken care of, and then take the scenic way home. So on the way to the lake is this nice little community, and I like to come through here. It looks like a totally different part of the country. This is what I kind of envision back east looks like, Massachusetts, and Virginia, Delaware, all those places, Maine, where my friends are on other YouTube videos that I see. And so kind of cool. So this just looks like I'm in a different part of the country. This doesn't look like the desert in southern Utah. It's just kind of that style, but it's a beautiful place to come, and I like taking pictures and videos here. I have pictures of my yellow Mach 1 out here, and anytime I come to go around the lake, if it's nice and I'm just kind of chilling, I pull in here and take some video and picture because it looks really good. So let's head over to the lake. So if you saw that dust blowing across the road, I was actually surprised it was a little breezy out here, and it was still pretty early in the morning, but beautiful place. That's where I proposed to my wife, in the rocks up above the Mach 1 there. And this is just somewhere that's special to me. You know, I climbed up on those rocks right there and had the view of the lake because I'm a classy guy. No, this is a beautiful place, and this is where my wife and I got engaged. And so love coming out here and just enjoying the variety, and it's so beautiful. I just love the sand and the water and the different color mountains and the bright blue sky and stuff. And of course, what better than to have a nicely freshly paved new road and the Mach 1. I mean, love coming out here in the cars. And everyone comes out here with their side-by-sides and stuff. This is like the playground. This is where everyone likes to come and just enjoy their toys and have fun. So, beautiful day. Try to take it in and enjoy it. And that's why I like taking the video, because I can always go back and watch the video and kind of see what I missed as I'm looking at the screen of the camera. Sometimes I try to look away from the camera screen and take in what I'm actually seeing in person. But I love sharing this kind of media and taking pictures. It's been a passion and a hobby for me. So I love making YouTube videos. And you know, before I made a lot of YouTube videos, I'd just go out and take pictures for fun with my friends in our cars and stuff. So this is the beautiful desert. And this is called Sand Hollow Reservoir. And so, beautiful place. So there's the Mach 1 looking great, just on the side of the road there. And they actually just tore up this entire road and redid the whole thing. It went right through here, but now they widened it and everything. And so, just really, really nice and new and just beautiful out here. I mean, man, this is my favorite thing. My favorite cars and my favorite places. So let's get in and let the tires spin with the tires are getting a little bit old and hard. So I got back and got the new registration and everything, and because I had attended a couple graduations from my nephew and my other nephew, trying to remember who it was, and I kind of felt like this was a moving on moment, going from 2024 to 2025 on the registration. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to make this video where I stand up and then give the car a handshake like I'm giving it its diploma for graduating for the last year. So it's like, congratulations. Anyway, kind of dumb, but whatever. So nice to have the car out. Decided to go ahead and wipe the car down, give it a nice little detail. Been driving it around a lot lately, so it was getting a little dusty. And with that new cover, I like to obviously put it over so that it protects it from getting dusty. But when you drive the car, it gets dusty, so it still needs to be cleaned up and then put the cover on, because you don't want a cover on a dirty car. And that cover is really light, so I don't think it's really going to be much of a problem. But while I was at it, I felt guilty because the yellow GT needed to be washed, and it needed it more than the blue Mach 1. So got those all cleaned up and then enjoyed. So speaking of yellow cars, this is really cool. Somebody sent me this. This is a yellow Mach 1 on the assembly line, and this was at the Carlisle car show. And he said that it has an MRT early intake system on it, and that this owner, I believe, was the original owner of the car, and he got to go see it being built, and he was on the Mach 1 registry when it came out new. And I have a yellow Mach 1 too, so I love it. But man, it was a hot day, so we went to the pool. It was so nice to relax and cool down. And I took the yellow GT, and I just love this car. And I made a little reel on Instagram and talked about how the lights come back on. This car was dead, and now when the lights back on, you can see the life in this car again. And that was just a point I tried to make, and I just was trying to get that point across. But took the silver GT and went to a meeting at the church, and it was pretty cool to see it here, walk out and have the GT just sitting there. And I love that I can leave it out there in the parking lot, not worry about it. Went and ran errands with it, just hanging out at the house again with all the cars in the driveway, listening to music and enjoying just being here. And, started the air fryer again. Seems like all I do is eat, I know, but you got to eat, right? Every day. So Mach 1, Cobra, 10th anniversary, and then the orange Cobra in the garage there. Decided it was a nice day to take out the red Terminator again. So we're going to take the red Cobra out for a drive. Look how beautiful it is. What a nice morning. Just perfect temperature. There's an airplane flying. I tried to focus on it, but it didn't want to focus. But that's how you know the air is good, because people are out flying their planes or, getting their toys out. And so here we are. Let's get the red Cobra out and go for a nice drive and enjoy this car. So back in the garage, hood open, let it cool down. This is the VMP 2.65 liter Gen 3 supercharger, and it has a 3.0 upper pulley and stock lower. It's making 650 wheel on 91 octane. It's a really good blower. I love it, and it sounds fantastic. So hanging out in the hot day, what do you think I'm doing? I'm sitting here with my cars, enjoying life, listening to music, and opening a fresh quart of Oreo ice cream. So this is just how I enjoy life, you know? So what do you think? I'm happy. My friend is having his white Mach 1's engine rebuilt at a place up in northern Utah that's known for Mustangs, and I was looking at this picture and something stood out to me. There's a silver GT sitting there, and it's a turbo car, and it is the exact car that I've done a story about that used to be my friend's car. It used to be a Kenny Bell car, and then it turned into a turbo car, and it was a car that my Bullitt and that car spent a lot of time together in very similar setups with MMR engines, and a huge history that I've made a story about. And that car went up to northern Utah, and my brother and I had done a compression test on it before it left, and we said, hey, there's a dead cylinder here, and it got sold off. And then the guy who bought it just showed up at a car meet, and my friend with the white Mach 1 now, who used to have the red GT, his name's Koa, had the red fire GT that my sister had. He found the car and he talked to the owner, and he verified that the engine has been rebuilt, and the guy said it had a dead cylinder, and we said that's what we said. We knew all about that, and we had posted a video about it. And so Koa had dug up these old pictures. This is that silver GT, his previous 03 Redfire GT, and my Bullitt. And this is when they were here years and years ago, all in the same town. And now these cars have evolved tremendously, all of them. The red one was totaled, and I saved it and put it back on the road, and then Koa got it and everything. And so it's kind of cool to look at that picture and think that after all these cars have been through, they're still all on the road. So here's the silver one driving off. So it's cool to see that car alive and well, and it survived because it's a nice car and it has a lot on it. You know, it actually has Terminator mirrors, Terminator side skirts, Terminator seats, and just a huge build list, like pages. I remember when the car was for sale, and in my video about the car, it goes over everything that was done to this car. It has a lot done to it. So changing gears to my friend's red GT350, I went to go pick it up from the body shop, and there was a little bit of a run here in the paint, and it had a couple high-speed swirl marks and things, and so the body shop said, let's make it right before you take delivery on it. So they took the car back, and they spent several days working on it, getting it just right. So my Cobra, I thought now would be a good time to take the battery tray out since there's not a battery in it. This is my competition orange Cobra. Cleaned out the tray. I love how you can see those part numbers so nicely when it's clean like this. And so I just spent some time cleaning a little bit in the engine bay there, and got that all back and reinstalled. Funny story, my friend was drag racing his red fire Terminator once, and I had my Cobra, this one, up at the races. And I wasn't racing it that day, but I just brought it with me, and they tried to fail his tech inspection for not having a battery tray and a anchor, you know, having the battery anchored down. And so I pulled the battery out, and I took this tray out, and I put it in his car so he could race, and then we put it back in my car. So, and I even gave him the shoes off my feet because he had shoes that for some reason I can't remember what happened, but his feet were having problems with the pedals, so I gave him my shoes to race in as well. Took the yellow GT to the church for a meeting, and it was just nice to have it out there. So back at the house, enjoying some ice cream, enjoying the sunset, relaxing a little bit. And then the next day at the house of the Lord again with my wife in the silver GT. I went a little bit early because I had to do some things in there before she got there, and then we did a session together. And so beautiful day with the GT, just love that. And then after we went to lunch together, and of course parked where we could see the GT. Loved seeing it there. It's always fun to have the car, and the AC's working nicely, so she enjoys riding in it. So taking the cover off the Blue Mach 1, let's go for a drive again. So this high school is actually the Mustangs, and they used to have the actual running horse Mustang from a Ford Mustang on their logo, but they had to change it. When I saw that, I thought that's not going to last very long, but it was kind of cool because all the kids were wearing t-shirts around town that said the Mustangs on them, and it had the running pony on it. So I was like, yeah. And the other school's the Chargers, so kind of cool to see the Mustangs. So I thought it'd only be appropriate to have my Mustang in front of the sign here. My friend Zach, who I mentioned earlier with the 35th anniversary Mustang GT and his YouTube channel, he had posted the story about his GT on his YouTube channel. And in his story, he showed a cruise. And in that cruise, you can see my blue Bullitt. And so this cruise just happened to be at the time where I had sold my Bullitt, and the other owner had it up there in northern Utah for a little while before I bought it back. And he was actually cruising right behind it the whole time on that cruise. And I didn't even know that. that. So I was watching the video and I looked at the license plate and I was like, yep, that's the plate he had on it when it was his. There's two blue Bullets that are up there usually in that group. Mine was one of them, and it's when I didn't own it, of course. And so I was watching that video, I was like, oh my gosh, that's cool. But then when they showed the big group photo, I remembered that my yellow Mach 1 was up there too. If you look in the kind of bottom of the screen, there's my yellow Mach 1. And so that's my other yellow Mach 1, not the one I have now, but the one I had before. And he had added a Terminator front bumper and AFS wheels, and he took the long tube headers off and did a lot of work. I think he put SLP exhaust on it and stuff. And he also showed a picture of this '01 laser red Cobra, and that was my friend's Cobra, the one we've had here in the channel in this video with the 10th anniversary silver convertible. This was his '01 Cobra. That was laser red, and he had sold it to a kid up north. The kid rear-ended somebody, and so that's why it has a Terminator front bumper and an aftermarket hood on it. And so when Zach was making all this in his video, I kept sending him these screenshots. I'm like, hey, I know this car, I know this car. Those were my cars. And it's funny that on that cruise, two of my cars were there at the same time. So sadly, the '01 Cobra front bumper was cracked in the accident or damaged, and they actually threw it away. I've seen people who repair them when they're cut in half and huge chunks missing out of them. So that one probably wasn't too bad, but unfortunately, it was wrecked. My wife dropped me off at the body shop. There she goes in the silver GT, and I was here to pick up the GT 350 and go drive it around, and man, they did a fantastic job on this car. It looks stunning, absolutely beautiful. This is the way that it should look. You know, they scuffed the hood with Scotch-Brite and re-cleared it, and they repainted the fender and blended it and did all this work. New headlight, new front bumper cover, new automatic trans cooler behind there. So this car looks great, and it drives fantastic. Only 12,000 miles on it. I enjoyed driving it, so let's take it out. So you can hear in that last video, it's really loud. That's how hard the air conditioning can blow. It's really nice and cold. You know, 12,000 mile car, everything's new on it, drives beautiful, and look at the beautiful paint work they've done on this. So I was able to take it up here on top of the old airport and get some good video of it and some pictures, and that's all part of the update video of this car. So I just wanted to show a little bit, and you know, this is what I was doing, driving it around, enjoying it for a little bit, just getting some pictures and stuff, and then taking it back to my friend's house. So on the way back, we stopped to get lunch and just enjoyed how beautiful this car looks, you know, walking out to it. Obviously, I parked it away from everything and kept an eye on it the entire time. So these GT350s are pretty fun. I've drove his gray one a lot. I've driven this one a lot. And, you know, I've been on the racetrack with them at Willow Springs. And these are very fantastic, neat, unique cars with a beautiful engine and a lot of cool stuff. So if I were to get a newer Mustang, it might be one of these. But, you know, I love the new Edge cars. So I went in to get some cold drinks at the gas station and, you know, I parked at the pump. My friend taught me that trick. He said, if you're going to go into the gas station and there's pumps available, park by the pump because no one's going to ding your doors there. There's so many people running in and out of the convenience stores that they're probably going to ding your doors. And, you know, people who are in a rush who want to stop at convenience stores, maybe, I know it's very, very judgmental to say this, but they're always in a hurry and maybe they're not. It takes all types, right? I mean, I'm trying to say this without sounding mean, but if people are always in a hurry and they're always going in and out of there, you're more likely to get your door dinged. Okay, but look how beautiful this car is. Oh man, the paint work looks very nice, and they did a great job cleaning it up and polishing it and everything. So it was just fun to enjoy this car because this is fun. I get to basically experience having it without having to buy it, and it was nice of my friend to let me drive it around. And you know, I'm taking care of it while he was gone. I had to go pick it up at the body shop and stuff and take pictures anyway. But anyway. So nice to drive. Basically, I just took it straight to his house and put it away so that, you know, nothing would happen to it, and just enjoyed, you know, getting to see it a little bit. Took a little video to show him how it was when I put it in the garage, make sure there's nothing wrong with it, and then said goodnight. Obviously, I needed a ride home, and so that's how it worked out with my wife so that she could come pick me up. And so that was fun. There's a park right by my friend's house that we like to go to sometimes, so we took the opportunity to go there. And it's just fun to get back in the GT. Totally different car. You know, they're both awesome in their different ways. And, you know, get to drive the GT and enjoy the look of it and stuff. I tried to get some video of how good it looked while I was there at the park looking at it. It just looks so good, and I tried to, show what I'm seeing here. And I just love seeing this car. It looks really good. I love the bullet wheels on a GT, and I've had so many different ones in different colors and stuff, and silver is a nice color. And so if you look at the car, you might notice that it has a lot of brake dust on the front wheels, and the brakes were replaced right before I bought the car. I found the receipt in the glove box. Even though the car was wrecked and everything, that was still in there, and I just really wanted to clean the brake dust off the wheels and wash the car anyway. It was time to wash it. It got kind of dirty. Looked like a cat might have walked up the back window or something. There's little paw prints on it and stuff, but it was just time to clean up the car. And so I actually went ahead and waxed the car as well. It really needs wax. It sits out all the time. And the car only has 78,000 miles on it now. And that's still pretty low. And the car's paint is in really good shape, and I just want to keep it that way. And I know it sits out in the sun, but hey, it's better than the car being crushed. That's where it was headed anyway. So I'll take as good a care of it as I can at this point. So that's the update for now. I know this was a really long one. If you stuck through it, put a 5 in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more Mustang content. I'll leave you off with my wife driving it off to work.